Hey guys, I'm outside reading, and we are going to read Ross McDonald's Henry's Hand. Now this reminds me a little bit like of a Halloween story, but I've never read this one, and since it's not an animal book, I've read I read an animal book last time, so I'm trying to switch it up. So this is Henry's Hand, and it looks like it's about like a Frankenstein, so we'll see how it goes. Remember, if you want to see the pictures for a little longer, just pause me, okay? Okay, Henry's Hand. Henry's Hand, title page. Some of us start out whole and stay that way. Some need a spare part or two. Henry, he was bits and pieces kind of guy. Every once in a while, one of his bits would go astray. One morning, he left one of his pieces in the bed, which made a very awkward day. Oh no, he lost a leg or a foot. And once one of his eyes rolled under the couch and wouldn't come out until bedtime. Come on, cut it out. This isn't funny anymore. So, Henry made up a little rhyme to help him take inventory every morning. One eye in another, one ear in his brother. Oh, you hear the doggies, sorry. One mouth, one big nose, 2 feet with 10 toes, 2 elbows, 2 knees, skin smooth as cream cheese. A head with a hair and a brain in there, some organs and glands, 2 very nice hands. Cashy? One of his parts, Henry's right hand, was his favorite. Henry and Hand did everything together and went everywhere together. They especially loved the springtime when it started to warm up. Leaves began to bloom and birds got busy, making their nests. But sometimes when Henry was feeling lazy, he would get Hand to do things he really should have been doing himself. It's not that easy for a little hand to scrabble all the way down the driveway to fetch the newspaper every morning, or start the car when it's cold outside. Henry was doing less and less, and Hand more and more. And before long, Hand started to get more and more annoyed. Hey, Hand, change the channel. Yes, Your Majesty. So, one night at bedtime, when Henry sent Hand to fetch his toothbrush, Hand just took off. Henry didn't notice until early the next morning. One very nice, hey! When Hand didn't come back with the newspaper, Henry knew right away that something was up. Henry looked everywhere for Hand, and first he needed him. Then he started to miss his friend. Perhaps he was lost, Henry wondered, or even maybe hurt. After a while, Henry realized that Hand wasn't coming back, and it was all his fault. Meanwhile, Hand headed off for the city, leaving Henry to take care of himself. Hand hitched a ride on the back of a turnip truck. And by noon, he was right in the heart of downtown. The lights, the noise, the bustle, the hubbub. It was all so new and exciting for Hand. He'd never felt more alive. But by dinner time, he was cold and tired, hungry, lonely, dirty, scared, and ready to go home. And that's when it happened. Extra, extra! Hand later said it was one of those right place, right time kind of things. Anyone would have done what he did, but the papers didn't see it that way. Okay, let's go back, see if you noticed what happened. All right, so looks like somebody is like about to get run over. And do you see Hand taking him back? Okay, so looks good to me. I don't know how anybody would not like that. It didn't take long before Hand landed in a lap of luxury. No more dirty country shack. Hand now lived in a big house in the best part of town. He no longer had to wait on Henry's hand and foot. In fact, the house was chock and black chock-a-block with butlers and cooks and maids who waited on him. He even had a room full of assistants to answer all the fan mail he had started getting. He didn't know how to lift a finger. Didn't have to lift a finger. But Ham soon found himself with nothing to do. Every last thing was already being done by someone else. Oh, sure, they'd give him the little chores to help, but he could tell that they didn't really need a hand with anything. So, in a busy house filled with busy people in the middle of a busy city, Hand felt alone. One day, Hand spotted a bedraggled little tree in the corner with new buds turning green at the ends of its branches. It must be spring, he realized. Oh, I see the bird. And the dog sees somebody in the front yard. A small bluebird was trying to build a nest, but every time a big truck drove by, the wind would blow the nest apart. The poor bird kept trying over and over, but she was getting nowhere. Hand wanted to help, but he just didn't feel like himself or somehow. His secretary was talking to him, but he hardly heard her. Sir, we finished answering all of the fan mail except for this one. There's no return address. Ooh, I bet you can guess who that's from. Meanwhile, Henry had his good days and his bad days, and he did his best to keep himself busy. It wasn't easy. Spring was coming. There was a lot of work to do. He had to tend his garden. The roof needed patching. It was time to shake out the rugs and clean the house. There was always so much paperwork to do. It'd be hard to do that with one hand. One day, Henry was making breakfast when he heard a knock at the door. At first, he didn't know what the noise was since he never got any visitors. But soon, he figured it out. I got your letter. I came as soon as I could. Okay. Is that breakfast I smell? Oh no! Could you use a hand? Dolly, go. Oh my Lord. I sure could. And that was that. Okay, move it, Dolly. They gotta see the pictures. Excuse you. Excuse me. Go. Goodbye. Dolly wants to read too, looks like. That's just how it is with old friends. You pick up where you left off and don't need to say much. A word here and there speaks volumes. More lemonade, Hand? You bet. Best I've had in a long time. Spring arrived and it started to warm up. Leaves began to bloom and the birds got busy. So Henry and Hand took a walk to their favorite tree. Oh, I almost forgot. I invited someone to come and stay. Wonder who that could be. I gave your letter to her for the nest. I hope you don't mind. Not at all. I'm sorry. That was a sweet book too, one that I have never read before. Okay, y'all, instructions now. What I want you to do is I want you to write a 5-sentence, again, not too bad. We've written like 17, 18 sentences before. So 5 sentences. I want you to tell me a story about you and a friend and what, if you guys had a problem, how did you resolve it? Because I know all of you have had a problem with a friend or even a brother or sister or a cousin. That could work too, anything, okay? Or even mom and dad. I want you to tell me the story of how the problem came to be and how you fixed it and how you became friends again or you felt loved again by your family. Okay? I love you guys. Have a great e-learning day.